Good morning, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to start our Roadcraft playthrough. When this game first released, I played a little bit of it and I decided I wanted to do a playthrough on YouTube for it. But I was just waiting till I had some time to do it, and I was also waiting for patch 2.0 to come out with some of the fixes and some of the new content as well. So here we are, patch 2.0 has come out. We're going to start our playthrough. Let's just get going, because some of these videos are going to be quite lengthy. So let's just jump straight in. Let's call our company name. This is our company name. Well, we're building roads. Let's do Mothman Works and accept that. Now, at the start, we get to choose between two vehicles. We've got sort of your little Land Rover type thing, and then you've got your sort of, I don't know, what do they call these big Ford sort of trucks from America. As I've driven things like this in the past, I think I'm going to choose this one. To be honest, it doesn't matter which one we pick, because we can buy the other one later on anyway. I would say this one's brilliant, probably one of the best scout vehicles in the game. This one's just a bit more slow paced. It's definitely good for a beginner, so if this is your first playthrough, I would recommend picking this one. Right, so we're going to pick this one. Now we're going to choose our color schemes. I quite like this one. Now, I had to do something. I think I had to create an account with something to get these little ones down the bottom here. So yeah, I'm going to choose this one. If not, you could choose any of these. Dealer's choice, really, isn't it? Whatever you go for. But I think this looks kind of construction colors, so I'm going to go for this one. Now, if we move across, I am using controller to play this game, so obviously I've got all the controller settings up at the moment. I am playing on PC. This is your logo. So first, let's choose a logo. I've got right trigger to choose one. Ooh, that's quite good, right? Let's go for, let's not spend too long on this. Let's just jump in. I like that. Let's go for that, and let's make it sort of an orangey color. And if we go along across to the background, oh, I like that. And what if I made that a yellowy color like that, or even just, what about black? Yeah, let's just do black. Let's go with that. And we'll accept that. Now, this is our main map. Now, these are the levels that we've got to complete to get all the way to the end. And here, when you get through, this is a tutorial here, and this is kind of a second part of the tutorial. These two are kind of shorter videos, but they're really just a tutorial. When you get to here, you get to choose which path you take. However, you do actually need to complete both of these before you get to go on to here. And likewise, you have to complete all three of these before you get to go on to here. So it really doesn't matter. We're going to have to play them all anyway. This episode is going to be the whole tutorial. It should take about an hour, so let's get going. As you can see, I haven't started yet. The only vehicle we've got at this stage is this one. So let's get going. Let's jump in. So in this tutorial, we are basically in North Africa, and we are here as a subcontractor to prepare this area for a storm that's coming. And the second part of the tutorial is called Aftermath, and that's after the storm. Anyway, let's crack on. So here we go. Welcome to Roadcraft. You will be guided through a tutorial. Anna.
Hey there. The name's Kelly, and I'll be your friendly neighborhood dispatcher for today. And every day unless we screw something up. Then the company replaces us, like dead batteries. But until then, I'll be here to help as much as I can. Not that you need much help with your first task. You need to head to the lookout point and take in the general layout of that town on the coast. They're bracing for one hell of a storm. I suggest you get on with the agenda before the storm hits.
Okay, so this is our first vehicle. Whenever I get a new vehicle, I like to have a little look in the cockpit. This is our cockpit view. Let's start the engine. You can drive from the cockpit. And for some vehicles I do, and for some I don't. Certainly some of the big cranes I like to do from the cockpit view. Okay, this is your track to objective that you've got in the top right hand corner there. So look around. Let's have a good look around. Look at our objective. And let's get going. Lots of wheel spin already. And we're just going to head towards this next objective. Change your camera view, which we've already had a look at. And we'll shoot down here. The sensitivity of the controller is quite vicious, so that may be something you want to change. To be honest, I usually get used to these things pretty quick, so
enjoying the sights?
It doesn't bother me.
I hear they're the best part of your job. At least your job has a best part. I have to make do with cheap coffee and a broken AC. Ready for your next mission? Well, aren't you lucky? Investigate the phosphate plant. Not too exciting, but who am I to argue, right? Go take a look.
You get a good view up here. So we're now heading down this way to the phosphate plant, I think it was she said. Let's head off down this way. I mean, this game is really good. I've not played a huge amount, but what I have played I've really enjoyed. Okay, so this is where we learn about our low gear, our all-wheel drive, and our diff lock, which you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner. So if I press A, that puts it in low gear. X is your four-wheel drive, your all-wheel drive, and Y is your diff lock. I don't think we need low gear at the moment. We certainly don't need our handbrake on, so we'll just stick these two on at the moment. Your vehicle actions are on the controller, it's your left bumper. And I can hit B to scan the terrain. And as I drive, I can keep doing this. And I'm looking, see it's quite deep there. And I'm looking for the good terrain to drive through. So here we're getting a bit sunk down. I might put the low gear on. And then pop it off. I don't use low gear a huge amount in this game. It's not like SnowRunner where you had to use it quite a lot. Just keep scanning, keep having a look at what it looks like, keep putting it into low gear if you need to. and eventually we will get through. Okay. Next part is done. So, interactive environment. So there are certain things in this game that we can interact with, things like gates. So this is basically your winch tutorial. So I'm going to pull up a bit closer. To use your winch, you just look at the thing you want to shoot the winch at and let it go. There we go. And again, vehicle actions, left bumper, I can pull that winch and then just let it go. And I can look at the other gate. It's not giving me a very good view here. Let's get a bit closer. That was it, but it didn't latch on. I can back it up like that. I can pull it in and I can go. Now I've got the gate open a little bit, but I'm probably going to be having convoys come through this later, so I'm just going to make sure it's very open, so that when I send those convoys, it's not too bad. Right, here we go. Here's our next objective, and already we're getting a new vehicle. So here's the next part of our tutorial. Open the map and see available objectives. Here's our map tab. Here's our objectives. And at the moment we've got two main objectives. We've got clear the way into the plant, and we've got visit the forward base. So we want to focus on this one. We want to clear the way first, so we can hit A, which will show us where that is, and we can hit X to track it. It's that simple. There's no more to it than that. That's as simple as it is. So now we can come back out. Now, because this is part of the tutorial, we do need to drive sort of over here for this bit. And once we get over here, we'll get the tutorial about the vehicle tab. So again, open the map. And now we can hit RB to go along to the vehicles tab. And you can flip between your vehicles here and focus on the vehicle and enter the vehicle. This...
Hey, you're not a bad navigator. To be fair, a child could handle it if they could reach the gas pedal. Still, you did fine too, so kudos to you. Now it's time to get you to your forward base. It's not much to look at, but should keep you warm. Oh, and on your way there, be a darling and clear the plant's old entrance for the cavalry. They're coming later, if the higher-ups don't cut the funding.
Okay, right. So this is our first new vehicle. Let's have a look in the cockpit. Let's get the engine started. That's pretty cool. And our first job is to clear over here. I'm just going to pop back out for this. Now, your grader control is your left bumper. Vehicle actions are usually your left bumper or your right bumper. And you can change mode. So if I hit X, it puts it into sort of manual mode where you can manually sort of control all the different bits. This is your right bumper that does this. This is your left bumper that does this. And I can tilt it any way I want. I can also put it into asphalt destruction mode, which we'll come to later in the game. And I can also put it into sand flattening, which is kind of what we'll use this for most. And you can also use the sand flattening for jobs like this. However, we're going to go into manual mode. We're going to just raise it a little bit, take our handbrake off, and we're going to clear this area here. Really, it's just as straightforward as bulldozing it all out the way. And everything that still has like a yellow triangle on is what you have to clear. So let's give this car a good shove. Some of these things, like these little crates and stuff, they'll just break when you drive into them. And the last thing, let's do those crates. And let's move this. There we go. That's us done. I'm going to put it back into marching and bring this back here and park it up, handbrake on. Now, one thing I do love, since the new update, you can shut down the engine just by holding your handbrake button, which is pretty cool. Now, there are several ways to change vehicle in this game. One is, like they showed us in the tutorial, you can come to your vehicles tab and choose the vehicle that you want to enter and jump back and forth like that. The other way to do it is to come into the map and hover over a vehicle, and you can hit Y to enter it that way. The other way of doing it is you can hold down it, rather than pressing your map button, you can hold it down and you'll get this nearby vehicle menu, and you can flick very quickly this way between nearby vehicles. It only works for nearby vehicles, not vehicles all over the map. For vehicles in different places on the map, your best bet is going to be your vehicles tab up here. Right, let's crack on anyway. I think we'll go back into the scout for this part, and we're going to go and find the forward base. Now, we're not tracking an objective at the moment, so if we go to our map, we'll go to our objectives and we'll track this one. Our forward base is up here. And to get to that forward base, I know we can come down this. You can go this way as well, but it's a much longer route. So we're going to come right and up to the left. So let's crack on. Let's get going. And we'll get up to our new bases. The way I like to play this game is to kind of go in with your scout. Opening up bases is going to be key. You want to get your bases open as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Right, let's park up over here. Pop the handbrake on. And here we are. We're at our forward base.
Welcome. The good news is, you're in charge now. Bad news is, the storage and allocation of resources are all on you. So, use them wisely. And remember, a penny saved is a penny earned. For the company. Well, on to your next job. Storm's rolling in, and we need to build a flood wall before it does. Before it rolls in, I mean. Storm seldom builds walls. First, we need to plot a route from the base to the phosphate plant. Once we do that, we can deliver the crane parts to make the wall.
Okay, so we've been given some new objectives. So if we jump into our objectives tab, you can see we've got main objectives and we've got side objectives. We currently don't have any side objectives, but we do have main objectives, and we've got two. One of them is to build a route to deliver crane parts to the phosphate plant. Now, what this is a convoy. It's like an AI-powered route. So let's do this so I can show you. So we'll track... You don't really need to track these, but let's track it anyway. And we're going to do an infrastructure route. Now, this is your infrastructure panel. At the moment, you can see we've got this route to plot, and we can get $1,200 or pounds or whatever you want to call it, money, currency, and you can get 500 XP for doing this. So this is how you plot a route. You have to hit A quite a lot of times. And to plot a route, it's fairly straightforward. Now, we are going to be going to all the way over here. So the obvious choice is to come straight through the yard down here. However, I know in a little while we're going to be doing some work here. So rather than coming straight through there, I'm going to send my trucks out this way. So I'm going to pull it over this way. When you're plotting your routes, the only thing you need to watch for is the colour of the dot. If it stays white, you're fine. If it turns yellow like that, that means that's too sharp a turn and they're no good. So you can just delete them again and just start plotting them fairly carefully. The AI follows these plots really quite accurately. It's actually quite impressive how accurately. So have a think about, obviously at this stage we don't know the size of the vehicle that's going to be doing this, and that does play a big part for, you know, if it's a small vehicle I can take this corner quite tight like that, whereas if it was a large truck I'd want to think about giving it quite a wide turning circle like that. These are fairly small vehicles. So we are going to come up this way. And we are going to pop it there and we're going to dispatch the units. And if we jump back into our scout, you can watch these units. And this is a route that will repeat. It'll keep running over and over again until there's an issue with that route. And that's where this game sort of comes into its own. It's keeping these routes up and running. Now, I've seen some tutorials online and I've seen some playthroughs online, some of them really good. However, most of them do this thing where if one of these vehicles isn't quite getting to its destination, say it's in a muddy area or something like that, what they do is they follow it in a vehicle and ram it so that it gets through the tricky part. In this playthrough, I am not allowing myself to do that because, well, it's cheating. The whole point to this game is to build roads to get your convoys from A to B. And that's the approach we're going to take to doing this, is we're going to do it in a way, if we need to build a road for the convoy to get there, we are going to build that road and repair roads. And that's the whole point to the game. Yes, it'll take slightly longer, but that's why we're here. Anyway, let's get on with our next job. That job will take care of itself now, hopefully, and if there's a problem, we'll get notified of it. Let's go to our next objective, which is find and recover the generator from the abandoned facility. So we're going to track that, and the abandoned facility is all the way down here in a place we've not discovered yet. So let's start heading towards that. Jump into the cockpit again. Have a little look about. Ooh.
Looks like we're gonna need a generator for the phosphate plant. There should be one somewhere close to the abandoned facility. Check your map. If you can find it, bring it back to the garage inside the abandoned facility.
Okay, so now we're just going to go and find this generator. And then we've got to get it There you go. That's the objective complete. Our infrastructure route objective. Right, this is us entering the search area. And for using your vehicle scanner, well, your object scanner, it's like before. We had B for the terrain scanner and Y is our object scanner. So we're just driving around, hitting Y every now and again. Now, I remember from before that this object in question is up there on that wall, look. And that's where we've got to get to. And then we've got to take it to that objective marker all the way over there. Let's get rid of our handbrake. So now we've got to find our way up to there. And this is the next part of our tutorial. Interactive environments. Some environment elements can be pushed, pulled, knocked over, or hooked with a winch. And to find them, you just look for the yellow markings. These yellow markings are fairly easy to spot. So we're going to drive up here, we're going to nudge into this, which will drop it, and we can drive up it. And next one's here. However, here we actually have two. We've got this one and that one over there. You can see, if I knock this one down, there's a big hole in the floor. So before I can do that, I need to come up here. Now, be careful doing this. Approach this slowly, because it's fairly easy to just fall off there. Right, I'll head down here. I'm going to turn off the diff lock actually to give myself a better turning circle. There's our generator. Now our only way to get it out of here is to attach the winch to it and drag it. So I am going to reverse up to it. Start dragging it. Trying to come a wide turning circle so that it doesn't get hooked on some of the debris on the map. Pop it down here. Bring it down the ramp and over there. It's a little bit... Oh. Okay, hang on. What I'm going to do is pop this on. Let's release the winch. Aim at the top bit. And we'll do this. Release that winch a second. Don't remember this being this big a problem when I played it last. I remember this being quite easy. Well, we're getting there slowly but surely. And I love the effect dragging that and our tyre marks is having on the terrain. You really leave your mark in this game if you're using a lot of heavy vehicles in the same place quite a lot. It does have an effect on the terrain.
You wrapped up all the prep work nicely. I knew I could rely on you, which is especially great since I had nobody else to rely on. You're the only contractor in the sector. The fate of everything rests upon you.
Good to know.
No pressure. Besides, the only thing left to do is to build the flood wall before the storm hits. First, you'll need to scoop up some concrete slabs. There should be plenty around your base. Naturally, you'll want to use the crane to move them. Then you need to drop them off in the loading area. Easy as pie, right? I could go for some pie. Anywho, the generator's in working order, so now you just need to make sure it's delivered. Shouldn't be too hard. Just plot a course from the workshop to the phosphate plant.
Okay, so we've got some new jobs to do. I'm just going to back this scout up and park it in out the way over here. And there we go. Let's have a look at our new jobs. So let's go to our objectives. We do have a new vehicle to play with, but we'll get to that in a second. So our objective is to move concrete slabs to the loading area. We're going to do that ourselves. But we do have another create a route to deliver the generator. It is a good idea to get these infrastructure routes on their way as quickly as possible, so that when there's an issue with them, you can very quickly get around it. You can edit it, and some of these tasks, to get the full reward, take quite a while. If you come to this one, you can see we've got this one that's operational, and this new one that we haven't started yet. Now you can see with the operational one that there's still 800 currency and 400 XP to be collected from that, and the more that it repeats, you can see per truck you get 50 XP and 200. So this needs to complete 8 more times to get all the XP. Only 4 more times for all the money, but 8 more times to get all that XP. So you want these infrastructure routes up and running as quickly as possible, because some of them have lots and lots of trips that they need to make. Right, let's plot this route. Now, I've seen a lot of people online get really stumped with this one, and they try and send it out round this way and do all sorts of weird and wonderful things with it. You can just come this way. I know this looks like water, but the water here is really shallow, so you can just go that way. So we're going to start plotting our route. Let's zoom in a little bit, and we're just going to come straight through here. Now we are plotting this to this location over here, okay? Which is near where we delivered our other things to over here. It's just the same neck of the woods, because ultimately we're trying to rebuild this wall down here. You can see there's gaps in the wall. We're going to be fixing those very shortly. Right, let's carry on plotting our routes. Zoom out a little bit here. We're going to come up here. However, the issue here is that this gate is shut here. So we'll plot the route. And as I've got a vehicle right here, I'll just bring the vehicle round and open the gate. Your other option is just to bring it round and send it in through this one as well. But then you risk these routes colliding with each other. So I'm going to dispatch the vehicles to get them on their way. I'm going to come to my vehicles tab, and I'm going to enter this vehicle. And I'm going to come around the corner. The gate's right there. Bring it round this way. Pop my scoop down a little bit. And there you go. Open the gate. I'll just park that up out the way. Shut the engine off. And now we can go to our next thing to tackle. So if we go to our objectives, the generator's en route and should get there no bother, hopefully. Now we've got to move these concrete slabs. And to do that, we've got this brand new vehicle to play with. So we'll go to our objectives, we'll track that, and we'll come to this and we'll jump in this new crane. Oh, I did that well. Jump in the new crane. In this game, getting good at using the crane is pretty critical. I'm certainly not an expert at using the crane, but I think I'm okay. So I've had a bit of practice with it, and I enjoy doing it, so I'm not too bad at it. So to deliver objects, you just need to deliver them to... Let's start our crane up. Oh, it's a new vehicle, so let's have a look in the cab. Quite rudimentary. In these ones, you actually do have two cabs. You've got this cab as well, which is your crane cab. And we'll have a look at that in a little minute when we're using the crane. For this, though, we want to drive forward. And let's stop here for now. Put our handbrake on. Now, to use your crane, your right shoulder button gives you your sort of setup and pack up sort of options in a crane. Really, Y is what you want, which is going to put down your anchor points. Then we can use this. To hover over. Now, one bugbear with this, the controls, you just need to get used to them. On the D-pad, it's up and down. I would say using a controller for crane work is so much easier. Oh, there's more of our infrastructure. The generator's been delivered. Fantastic. And you can hit X to cycle through all the available options. Let's actually just go to camera mode and let's go to this and let's attach this, and then we can lift it up, move it over. Once you get that yellow arrow thing on the floor, you can literally just drop it. Now, if you're one of these perfectionists that don't like that sort of thing happening, because these videos are going to be quite long, it is something that I'm going to be doing fairly regularly to save time. Because sometimes you have to do a lot of these jobs. Pulling that down. I do love the cockpit view for doing crane work. Now, when you get one like this that you need to lift it up quite far, what I like to do is let it come towards me, drop it down, and then reattach it. Just so you've got a bit more control over what's going on with it. If you're a perfectionist, you can place it down and release it first. Let's come back outside. So this is where you drop off, and over there is where you would collect from. So you are now loading concrete slabs into your base storage. Bases allow storage. So this is the importance of bases. I can load these concrete slabs into this base and claim them at a base on the other side of the map, which for these maps here doesn't matter, but for later on that's going to become very, very valuable. So we've got 3 more concrete slabs to collect. Yes, I know I should fold up my crane first, but I haven't. Let's pop these back out. Oh. It's also a good plan I'll do this one outside so you can kind of see it from the outside. All I need to do is pull it in till I get those there, and then I can drop it. Quick fold, you can do that, which is your RB controls, and it's X on the controller. So I've got some more concrete slabs over here. I am terrible for leaving the old handbrake on. Now, again, for time saving, I'm going to cut some corners here. What I should do, although having worked on building sites, I can confirm a lot of corner cutting goes on. I'm going to just hover it over me like that. I'm going to lift up my anchors and I'm going to reverse. I don't yet have a cargo truck to load things onto, so at this stage it would have meant putting it down, picking it up, putting it down, and again you can literally drive over, and as soon as you get that you can just dump it. Again, if you're the type that doesn't like to do that, take your time with this. So one more, although I'm gonna do two more. The first time I played this game, I was like, well, I'm probably gonna need all these resources, so I'll just unload them all. And I went around collecting every concrete slab, but there really isn't a need to do that. But I do believe you need one more concrete slab than you get here. So I'm just going to back this one up, drop it in place. Okay, this is now telling you about your base storage. Resources are stored in your base storage, which is accessible from any base, like I said a minute ago. In later maps, that is going to become crucial. Like I said, I'm just going to grab one more slab, because if I remember rightly, there is one more that we're going to need. So let's pick this one up. And let's get it back to the storage. I'll drop this one nicely, I promise. Pull this back over here, handbrake on, let's even put out our anchors, and then we'll swing it over and place it down like we should be doing. There we go. Fold up, and I'm just going to move this to over here out the way for now, although we are going to need it. Do you know what? Actually, I'm just going to leave it there because I know we're going to need it in a minute. Right, task complete. Shut off our engine for now. Come into our map and go to our objectives. Now, even though we've completed the task, we've got to now allocate those, the slabs we collected for this job. So you need to open it, and then you need to transfer the resources, which for me is on the D-pad of my controller to hit right, and that will complete your job. Okay.
Looks like you'll need to do some hauling. Take the cargo truck and load it up with the concrete slabs and steel beams. Then deliver it to the phosphate plant. And if you're in the mood for extra supplies, you could plot a route between the warehouse and the forward base. It's not essential, but it'll make things easier for you in the long run.
Right, so we've been given two jobs here. We've been given a main quest, and we've been given a side quest. The side quest is connect the warehouse and the forward base with a route. So that's an infrastructure route. So we're going to deal with that one first. We're going to open it up. This does give us 200 XP and 500 cash, so we're going to want to get it done. So I'm going to... Oh, well, I can't do this yet, actually, because I've got to go to this area. So I'm going to track that, and I'm going to get myself driven up to there as quickly as possible, just so we can get that infrastructure route. I know my scout vehicle is down near that area. So let's go find it. It's up over there. This water, I think, is quite deep in places, but you can use your terrain scanner. I don't tend to use the terrain scanner anywhere near as much as I should. But here we are. Well, oh, that was kind of got flicked off there. I don't know if I hit a bush or something. Oh, am I going the right way here? I don't think I am. I think I need to head up to the main road and then go left. We did also get a new vehicle there, which is what you can see hovering about at the bottom of my screen there. We'll have that new vehicle is a cargo truck, which is awesome, because it's one thing we don't have yet. When you get these new vehicles, you're kind of given a rusty variant of the vehicle, which you can then buy the non-rusty version, which is an upgraded version. It usually has like better handling or better stability or something like that, dependent on what the vehicle is. We're just up here. These side missions are always optional. Now, as we get further and further through, I'm not always going to do every side mission, because the main goal here is to get through the main missions. However, the side missions do give you money and XP, which is also important. Now I've discovered this area, I can now, which by the way is a warehouse, have a quick look around here. Now I've discovered the area, I can now plot that route. So let's go back to our objectives. This is our side missions, and we'll plot the route. And we are taking this one up to our forward base over here. Ooh, that was a little bit laggy there, wasn't it? Here we go. Ooh, the map is quite laggy since this new update. I have never had that before. How very strange. Just gonna have a look a second at a couple of things. Yeah. That is very bizarre. That did become incredibly laggy there for some strange reason. I have never had any lag in this game before. That's a first, I have to admit. That is definitely a first. Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that, won't we? Right, let's come back into the map. We seem to be okay now. Anyway, yes, we are bringing it over to here. And we're going to load it into here. So let's start plotting the route. We're going to come down here. It's always good to zoom in so you can kind of see the terrain. If there's big puddles at one side of the road that you want to avoid, or rocks at one part of the road, we're going to go to the left here. So I'm going to delete that last one. We're going to come round this way and come up this way. You will get very used to plotting these routes. It becomes a big part of the game later on. Well, it already is, as you can see. It's we can come up to the left here and all the way up the hill. And routes will fail, and you will need to build roads to make routes possible, repair roads, do all sorts of things, repair bridges, all kinds of things to get these routes to where it goes. Now, this is a side mission, and it delivers beams and concrete to the forward base. However, we already have enough beams and enough concrete to complete this tutorial. And as this doesn't give us any XP, I'm not fussed or not as to whether this side mission completes. If it did money or XP, I'd be more interested in letting it finish. So now we're just going to crack on with the main objective, which is to bring the resources that we've already collected to the forward base. So let's track this and open it. This is, sorry, from the forward base to where we need it, which is down here. Okay. So you can see these trucks are making it up that way, no problem. We are currently up here, and we're going to use our crane and a new vehicle. Let's enter our new vehicle. This is our cargo truck. So what I'm going to do is start this new truck up. Oh, let's have a look in the cockpit. Do all the normal things that we do. Have a look in the mirror. We can see the crane parked up back there. Handbrake on, handbrake off. I mean, they really put so much into this game. It really is fantastic. At some point, I'm going to have to break out the steering wheel and try playing it with that as well, I think. Although I don't know, with some of the cranes and stuff, that could get a little bit annoying. Anyway, let's get going. Let's come outside. I'm going to pull it forward a little bit. And I'm just going to reverse it a little bit closer to where we need it. So we'll pop it over here somewhere, pop on the handbrake, and let's turn the engine off. Now, you can see the resources we need up in the top right corner. We need 3 concrete slabs, which we have thanks to me putting that extra one in, and we need 2 steel beams, which we have. So let's just get these resources. To do this, we click A, and then down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll get the options of things you can choose. So we need all 3 of the concrete slabs. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, and we need 2 steel beams. 1, 2. I'm just going to get all the things that we need. Now, the other thing that we need to think about is, let's just come out of this, is our vehicle's capabilities. Now, this truck, if I remember rightly, vehicles, let's, I think actually we need to go to a garage view for this. So let's come across to the garage and let's have a look at this. If we click on this, you can see that our capacity on this vehicle is 6 tons. Now, one thing the game does not do well at all, I mean, it does it really, really badly, is it doesn't give us any information about what weight some of the objects are. Some of them it does. If we come back and enter this vehicle and we look at the side of this slab, You can see it looks like it says 2.185, but I'm going to assume that's a comma, and it's 2,185 kilograms. So really, the 3 slabs themselves would be putting this mule over budget. The steel beams, I don't know how much they weigh. I don't think they're a huge amount. I think the concrete slabs are the main weight thing. Anyway, now I'm going to load it all up because I know it can be done because I've done it in the past. So I'm going to start up my crane. And I'm just going to bring my crane into position. And I'm going to try and do this from a cab perspective. So I'm going to try and line myself up a little bit. Like that. Put the handbrake on. Pop out my things. We'll go into the cab view, but go into this cab view. Oh yeah, you can use cranes to pick up vehicles as well, which is pretty cool. So, we're going to bring this down. We want the concrete slabs first. Let's just straighten up my camera a little bit. So let's pick this one up. Now remember what I said before, this is a key time where you would need to do this. Let it swing. When it's hanging down, drop it a bit. Bring your boom down. Reattach. And now you've got a much better hold on it, especially for doing jobs like this. Now this will take a bit of trial and error. Like I said, getting good with the crane in this game is a must. It really is. As you can see, I'm okay. It's been a while since I've played, so I'm a little out of practice. But with the amount of crane work you do in this game, you will get fairly good at it fairly quickly. We should be pretty good on this one, I think. But again, I'm just going to let it drop in front of me. Drop it and then pick it up again. And again, we'll swing it round. Just lift it up as much as we need to. Place it in, drop it. We'll go pick up the last one. Again, pull it in close to us, drop it down, pick it up again, and swing it round. Like I said, once you get the hang of doing this, you'll pick it up pretty quick. It's really not rocket science. And then we'll pop that in there. Now it's the steel beams. Now because the steel beams are a little bit long and straight, what I'm actually going to do is pull this forward so I'm kind of level with the truck, so I can see when, of course it would help if I turned the handbrake on and off. I seem to do that in the crane a lot. Right, let's grab the first steel beam. Again, I'm going to let it do its drop. Oh. And it's kind of straight. I'm going to bring it over this way a bit. Pop it there. Come down for the next one. I'm I'm surprised they haven't fixed how poor the selection tool is. Look at this. It should know more or less what one you're going for, and sometimes it's completely random as well. You think maybe it chooses the closest and then goes to the next closest or something like that, but it doesn't. Often it can pick the one furthest away. That'll do. It's on there. Fold up the crane and let's go park this up over here out the way. Handbrake on. I am still close enough to switch to this. Now, you can see my loading job wasn't brilliant, but it was good enough. I am going to hold down my left bumper and hit Y to strap the cargo. That'll just stop it falling out. I'm going to pop my handbrake on and let's go deliver down to the wall that needs reinforced. Now, because we've got all the route, let's put our diff-lock and four-wheel drive on. We are overloaded on this truck, so we want to be kind of cautious here. Because the stability of this truck isn't amazing. And as you can see, the center of mass, I've kind of loaded a lot of the weight on the right-hand side. And that does play a part in this game. The physics of that are fairly accurate. But we're nearly there. The advantage of bringing it all in one load, the reason I did it is because if you bring it all in one load, you don't need to bring the crane down to unload it because it will automatically unload. If you do it in two loads, you will need to then bring the crane down to help to unload it into this area. But when you come down with the there we go.
The storm's coming in fast, so we need to get that flood wall up. Actually, you need that more than I do. I'm safe back at HQ, but the folks in that town aren't. So, good luck.
Okay, so before we jump into doing this last job, because it is the last, let's go to objectives. It is the last jobs. We've got no current side quests. We've got no main, apart from this, we'll track it. What I'm going to do is look at my infrastructure, and I like to do this when I'm coming to the end of a map. You can see that this middle job isn't complete yet. It's still running, and it's only in all that time it's delivered 2, because each run delivers 1 slab and 1 beam. However, we don't need these resources. These resources don't carry over to the next part of the map or anything like that. So I'm not bothered about waiting for that job to complete. The important ones are these two. These two, you want to make sure that they say all awards received, to make sure that you've got all the XP from it and that you've got all the money from it. They're the important ones. This is not an important one. We have all the things that we need to complete this job. And with that in mind, we're going to jump into this crane. Now, for these jobs, I absolutely insist you've got to do this from cab view because it's so much fun. These crane controls are a little bit different, but basically the same. The bumper buttons are to move this forward and backwards down the beam. The right and left trigger are to move along the track that's on the ground. And then your left stick is to move this about. Oh, our first one's down there. And I can use down on my D-pad to drop that. Let's attach it and lift it. You can also hold Y here to kind of pull it in. And then we're going to swing it round and look for where we want it. So we want it down there below us. Now, you don't have to be massively accurate for this. I'm aware that the noise of this crane is quite loud, so I'll try and talk when I've stopped moving. All you need to do to complete this is get it in position. So here you can drop it down a bit, and if I now pull this towards me like this, just kind of needs to touch it a little bit and it turns green, and then it's in place. Or you can get really accurate with it and insist on getting it in as accurate as possible. But the bottom line is, once it turns green, you're good. You can hit A. Right, let's go get the next one. Let's drop our... Right. Ooh, so now see how it changed there to that other one very quickly. How do I let go of that again? There we go. That is really irritating. Right, let's get this one. Let's lift it up. It's... yeah, it's quite funny how that bounces about there. Right. Actually, we're probably quicker to go this way, aren't we? Let's rotate it a bit, drop it down, pull it back towards us. Like I say, you can literally put it there, hit it and go. So let's, in the interest of getting episode 1 finished, let's get this done. Because we are already longer than I wanted the first episode to be. And look how, I mean, you can literally, oh, I'm surprised because that used to turn green when I did that. Okay, so you do actually have to be a little bit more accurate than, there you go. Maybe not. You do have to watch sometimes that because it can sometimes flick blue right after it turns green and you kind of lose it and have to start all over again. Right, that's the 3 for this one done. So let's jump over into this crane and get the 2 on this side done. And then that's us. That's the first map complete then. Ooh. Swing it round. Shouldn't have done that. There we go. Trying to be too accurate for this one. That's what the problem is. Let's get this last one. bring it round, find where it goes. It's kind of right below us, so what I'm going to do here... kind of move along so I've got a better view of it, like that. Tell you what, it is a noisy old crane, this one. Kind of get it into position a little bit. I'm nearly there, but my controller's being a bit funny. Drop it in. Ooh. Drop it into position. And hit A. And that's us. We're done. We're up to level 2. We got some funds. And that is our goal complete. Our shields up goal complete.
Jeez Louise, that was a close one. I was worried you weren't going to pull it off. If you keep this up, I might start getting optimistic. At least for the company's stocks. They've been crashing lately, but you might have just turned the tide. Now, doesn't that make you feel good? Well, savor it for all it's worth. Talk to you later.
Okay. And there we go. All goals complete. And really what all goals complete means that all the main story, the main goals are complete. It doesn't mean that all your side ones are complete. We can dismiss this. Now, if you did have a lot of side things that you wanted to get finished, you can continue playing. We're going to return to the hub. You can continue playing unfinished bits as often as you want. You can return to previous maps and do things that you haven't done as often as you want. So we're going to jump back to the hub. And as you can see, we're 100% complete on this. We can click on it and it'll give us our breakdown. We completed all 3 infrastructure requests. We completed all the objectives and we also completed the side quest. Now, I didn't think it would give us 3 out of 3 for the infrastructure request because those beams and things hadn't finished being delivered. But it did. Anyway, but we could, if we wanted, jump back in here by continuing the mission, but we're not going to do that. Anyway, we're going to wrap this one up because, like I said, it's already been about 10 minutes longer than I thought it was going to be. In the next episode, we're going to go on to part 2 of the tutorial, which is this one, Aftermath, which is in the same map on the other side of the river, and it's after the storm. It's a little bit longer, a map, and it has some lengthy side missions that we have to do as well. So I'm going to decide how I'm going to go about filming that, but it will definitely be filmed in 2 to 3 parts, depending on how things go. Anyway, let's end this one at this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you at the next one.